Hello, Anne Marie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. For those of you watching our episode today, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for always sharing some of your time with me and Anne Marie. So, Anne Marie, thank you for responding to my changing up just a little of what we do, where we're giving a specific headline, which is Real Living in Naperville.
Absolutely. You've known me for a while now, and I love adventure, and I actually thrive on change. So I'm not going to
Good, 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 good. So, recently, I'm sure this has been a buzz probably in your household. I remember this. Your spouse, your husband, he's in the business of technology, right? I think I
Yeah.
remember that. Okay. So what's been buzzing, I think, in your household and also mine, and also for all of you audience members, I have a feeling it's been buzzing in your household as well, and that is this thing called AI, artificial intelligence, right?
Sure has.
All right. So today we're going to start our intimate conversation, Anne Marie, where I'm going to ask you to play the game of true or false with me.
Well, that's better than truth or dare.
We'll save that for an episode downstream.
Okay. Like adventure. So,
And also, if we do that, we may have to move our segment to non primetime hours, right?
right. You never know.
All right. So here's the first true or false part of our game. Because I know you live in Naperville
Mhm.
and I know you do everything that you do, business, your two businesses in Naperville, true or false? Naperville is the third largest suburb in the Chicago metro area. True or false?
I'm going to guess false because I think it's actually the biggest.
Ah,
We have
so
200,000 people.
right, right. So here's what I know. Before we connected today, I always had the feeling Naperville was the largest suburb, if not in the top, let's say five.
That's
So
uh,
exactly. So here's the power of AI. So as part of preparing for our segment today, I used Chat AI. I threw a question at it to say, hey, what are the top five largest suburbs in Chicago? And according to AI,
mhm.
it's up for debate, right? Up for us to verify. Naperville is the third largest suburb.
What are number one and two? I'm really curious.
I'm gonna share it with you. So let me switch to a different screen so I can read from it. Based on population, the five largest suburbs in Chicago are number one, Aurora, right next door to you.
Oh, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Number two is Joliet. Naperville is number three. Elgin is behind Naperville. And then last one, this surprised me, Waukegan, which is like north of
Yeah.
Chicago, right?
I think that is a tiny one, but you know what's weird? Why isn't Plainfield on there? Because I have driven to Plain from one end of Plainfield to the other. I
Yeah,
can drive for 50 minutes straight. It's huge, so I'm shocked. Huh.
right,
But
right.
then again,
So
there's lots of fields there. So it
good.
depends if they're talking about population or square meters.
Population. Yes.
Okay.
So how our friend in the technology world answered my question was based on population. But all of this being said, right? I lead you into this with a simple game of true or false. The reality is this. Okay, that's what we're getting as feedback, but ultimately it's up to you and me to verify that.
Exactly. Exactly. Because how much do you trust that? I don't know.
Bingo. Bingo. Yeah.
Someone had to have written that. So I don't understand how it could be smarter than us or whatever, because some person did it.
Yeah. Now, along the same uh, thinking, playing the game of true or false, I'm going to ask Chat AI the next question, and that is, what are the top 5 home organization hacks? And once it spits back to me, to us, the answer, I'm going to ask you to verify it because you're the professional organizer.
You're terrible. I mean, you're really putting me on the spot here, Val. Gosh, I don't know if we're going to be friends after this. Okay.
Well, I have a feeling, Anne-Marie, what it's going to report back. Here's my gut feeling.
Yes.
I think you know your stuff.
I do know my stuff, but I don't know what its top 5 are. I know my top 5 are.
Right.
But
well, that's why even though technology of AI is going to give us his or her answers, it's up to you as a professional organizer out in the field doing real stuff, not concept stuff, to verify that, yeah, you're right, or I kind of disagree with you on this one. So let's see what it says, okay?
Okay.
All right. So the top 5 home organization hacks are: declutter regularly, use organizers. The number 3 is implement a daily routine. Number 4 is create a designated spot for everything. And the 5th one, according to Chat AI, is use vertical space. So do you agree? True or false?
Well, you froze there a couple times. So I heard declutter, which was number, I just scribbled it down on a sheet that I had next to me. I'm like, declutter is number 1, 2, and 3. I mean, you've got
yes. Right. So the first is declutter. Second is use organizers. 3 is implement a daily routine.
Yes, routine. Absolutely.
Right. 4 is create a designated spot for everything. Yes. And 5th, last one, is use vertical space.
Okay. I didn't really I consider when I organize, I'm organizing, not like, oh, I need up and down space. Like,
I know.
So interesting.
But here's what I think I remember learning from you as the professional organizer. I've always heard you share personally in a big audience when you've given information through your speaking platform. Absolutely, number 1 is declutter. So AI seems to be right on point with you.
Got that.
The underlying things, though, are, well, how are you going to declutter? And I know you've talked about using organizers, right? That's how you manage the stuff that you want to keep, as well as you got to let go of some stuff. Remember previous segments, we talked about that.
Yeah.
You either have to let go of it, repurpose it, sell it online, whatever the case is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the third is implement a daily routine. And here's what I think I really, really know about your business that girl organizes. And that is you teach all of our audience members how to really implement that daily routine.
Oh, absolutely. Otherwise, I'm just coming in and making something pretty. And
exactly.
That's part of it. It's great,
right.
But you absolutely need to know how to keep it that way and how your kids keep it that way. And that's absolutely a necessity.
Yeah. So based on what I think I know, playing this game of true or false with you, it seems to be pretty consistent with you as the organizing expert.
That's not bad.
Now, because you've been doing that part of your business for such a long time, why do you think people struggle with these top 5 home organization hacks? Is it because they don't know how to commit to a routine? They don't know where to start, and maybe, let's call it like it is, they're not calling you. Could that be those reasons?
It's possible, but honestly, it goes way back, Will. So
really?
It's number 1 is they weren't taught.
Yes.
Well, they weren't taught. So if you're not taught something, how would you have a clue. If you lived with clutter and piles and stuff everywhere all the time, and that was the norm, how would you know anything different? You really wouldn't unless you started going into other people's homes, started watching videos, or your sister said, "Oh my God, what are you doing here?" Something like that. You just don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
That's true. And I embrace that of what you just shared. I think we have to learn how to embrace change and adapt. And sometimes, as part of that learning, it's relying on professionals, other people that can kind of challenge you, push the boundary, and say, "Hey, here's the process I've created for you. Let's work on it together." I remember that you shared with me.
Exactly. And at the very least, get you started.
Yeah.
Be like, "Hey, what matters? Your closet, your kitchen, and your office. Those are the 3 top spots you need to function every single stinking day, especially that kitchen. So let me help you organize one area, and then I can coach you how to do the rest if you want to do it on your own. If you don't want to do it on your own, I have a team of girls who will knock it out in a day. No problem."
Right on, right on. There are certain things, you and I have talked about this before. There are certain things that you can DIY, but there's certainly other things that, to even get started, you just shouldn't DIY. So thank you for reminding that to all of us.
No problem.
Yeah. Let's now move the conversation today to something that I know also impacts your other business, your business of helping households, clients sell their home and maybe buy another one if that's part of their next chapter. In your opinion, what's happening in Naperville? Is it still a very tight supply seller's market? And if so, can you share some trends of what I know to be like how long a property is on the market, otherwise known as days on market?
Sure. Well, it's getting better. It seems like we've gone with the old football adage from, I'm serious, 30 years ago, that everyone puts their house up for sale right after Super Bowl. I don't know why we have to wait for Super Bowl. It's kind of silly.
Right.
To me, it's just spring. Like, why can't we just call it spring?
Right.
But there are houses popping here and there. There are more and more on the market. It's still a little tight, which is actually the exact time you want to get in, because people have been looking not for months, they've been looking for years.
Oh, wow.
They were looking in 2020 and everything skyrocketed in 2021. So they might still be looking. There's a lot of folks still looking, especially first-time home buyers. I have a couple of first-time home buyers. They're like, I'm priced out of the market. I cannot afford it. But now things are starting to come down a little bit, and it's just doable.
Yeah.
It's doable. And since there are more places, they are more open to, well, I can't be right next to the train. It's too expensive. What if I'm a mile away and I take a scooter to the train? They're starting to think outside the box, figure things out a little better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still looking like the average days on market is about a month and a half. We're still not, with the 24 hours or 2-week thing. That's in the past.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I think that's a pretty realistic number. And I share this with you personally. I mean, unless you are just a household that has the concept of organization from that girl organizes down pat, it's kind of difficult. It's kind of challenging to make that change in 30 days or less, especially if you've got a household where you've raised kids, your kids have grown up in, and so forth, right?
Absolutely. Just yesterday, I was helping a family move their senior dad into memory care. So he went from his house of 55 years into a 460 square foot, looks like a dorm room. I mean, it's nice, but it's basically a dorm room. So we spent 7 hours in there unpacking his stuff, just making everything super homey and the way it should be. I had gone there a couple days ahead, measured the place out, gone to his house, and he's like, "Oh, can I take this?" I'm like, "Honey, there's no room for it."
Yeah.
We can't do a couch in here. We're gonna have to work with these chairs instead. Just fix things. But yes, you're right. It is very stressful moving, as you know. I mean, everybody's moved at least once.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at least hopefully they moved out of their parents' house. It's very, very stressful. And if you have, like this gentleman had 55 years of stuff and, it's kids stuff and just luckily they'll take care of it for him, but that's usually not the case. And if you have kids in tow or you're retiring and you're moving to warmer destinations, you have stuff and please don't pay to box it and move it and store it and go through it again. You just wasted thousands of dollars if you do that.
Exactly. And realize you don't want it anymore. So,
And your kids,
right on. Yeah.
Your kids do not want it.
And right on, like you mentioned, for I'm sure enough of our audience members who are watching this, enough of our friends who are moving to a warmer climate. I mean, you don't want to keep those down parkas for too much longer because you probably won't use it.
No down comforters, heavy quilts. You don't need it. As you can see behind me, I do quilting. So my mom
See that.
Don't send me a quilt. She lives in Florida. She goes, I will never ever use it. I said, done. It takes me like 200 hours to make a quilt.
Yeah. Do you think right now in both of our businesses where real estate is part of a conduit of working through a life event, do you think really that sellers are not wanting to sell because I read this, I hear this a lot, and I sometimes challenge it. And that is sellers are not wanting to sell because, they have this home, maybe with a mortgage, and it's in the low rate. Do you believe that?
Okay, so I'll put myself in this example.
Okay, sure.
My interest rate is 2.3.
Lovely.
It's very lovely. So if I were to upgrade, downgrade, just move it all, it's going to cost me a lot.
True.
That's going to cost me about an extra $1,000 a month. So you have to think, is it worth it? Am I going to buy something that's going to be more expensive than what I'm in? Is it going to be, and that's where I think you get caught up. If you have any debt on your house and you have to get a mortgage, it's a little bit tricky. But then you have the people, for instance, 10 years now, it'd have to go longer. 15 years ago, I had 3 babies and I had a 4th on the way. I needed a bigger house.
Yeah.
You're going to do it no matter what because you need a bigger house. I'm not going to be cramped.
Right on. So I'll add my 2 cents worth into this concept, this question. Personally, I believe in this. Mm-hmm. I think every household, the home that you own, the home that you have lived in for X, I'll leave that blank. Everybody's time frame is different. Here's my belief. Everyone has a number. And I say it this way. If someone were to knock on your door today or my door today and say, Bill, Anne-Marie, I'm going to buy your house. No contingencies. How fast can we close? My belief is we all have that number in our head.
Yep, you can have everything in my house. I will take the pictures, my computer, and my dog. We buy everything. We're good.
Right on. So that's why sometimes when I read and hear, articles, posts from others that comment on, people are not wanting to sell because they're so tied to, X. Their rate locked to X, and I'm like, don't necessarily agree. Just my opinion.
I mean, it really depends. If I had, we'll say I have $100,000, or I owe $100,000 on a mortgage,
right?
But I'm buying something for a little less or the same. I probably am not going to care about the mortgage rate too much because I really want to go for another reason. It's not. I don't want to sit here any longer because of whatever, maybe I want to move to Florida and I've got a kid going to college there. There's always other reasons. So yeah, I agree. It's not necessarily true.
Yeah, I completely concur with you. I think I think life events kind of drive every person's decision, both personally and also business, right? If you're working still, if you're not working, you're happily retired, then it's really, life events that affect what matters to you personally. Do you need to be closer to your network of friends, your adult children who don't live as close, etc., etc.?
Exactly. There's a lot of variables. I don't think for someone to say, well, people aren't moving because they're at a 2.3. That's not really it. That's a portion, but not all of it.
Yeah. And I look at it this way, and I'm calling out all of you audience members who are sharing your time with us watching this. Realistically, if someone were to knock on your door and say, I'm willing to give you X amount of dollars, how quick can you move? Come on, let's be real. Throw down your posts, throw down your comments. I want to know that I'm not alone in thinking this way, and that is everyone has a number. If the money is there, you're going to embrace change and make that move, right?
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I love it.
I'm the first one to jump in the car.
And you
call and text everyone, by the way, we're moving today.
right.
Just,
right. And you can do it so much easier, Anne-Marie, because we look to you as the professional organizer. You probably have this already mapped out conceptually in your head when and if that were to happen to you and your family.
Absolutely. I'm always looking at things saying, do I really use that? Do I need that? If not, it's out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to move it. I don't want to have to do anything extra when it comes to moving, whenever that may be.
Yeah. As we wrap up today's episode, let me ask one additional question. And that is, what can you share, Anne-Marie, to me, to all of us who look to you for some level of guidance? And that is, how can I move to the next chapter of fill in the blank? I need to move. I'm taking a new job elsewhere, generate more income for my family. That's a big motivator, right? All right. What advice, what can you share for all of us in terms of committing to a routine? How much time should we commit ourselves to get really into the rhythm of decluttering, organizing our lives?
So first you have to get organized. Otherwise, let's face it, it's a shit show. So you're going to run around in circles not knowing what to do with yourself. So you have to get organized. Do it yourself. Call a professional organizer. We will do it with you. We will train you. Simple habits. You bring something in the house, put it away. Don't throw it somewhere. Don't put it on some surface, whether it's the bench by the door, the floor. You have to do something with it. So always be taking things, putting them where they belong. Number one. I would say number two, it is very simple to do things after. So you're eating, well, let's put it this way. You're making dinner. What do you do while you're waiting to stir something? Takes 2 minutes. Start cleaning up. Make it a place. Like, get stuff done, because you have better things to do than organize and clean later.
Yeah.
I'd say don't procrastinate. Just get crap done, because if you let those dishes soak in the sink, next thing you know, there's mold. There's more dishes because the kids saw that you left some, so they're going to leave some too. They have dishes in their room and they're like, well, mom leaves them around, so I am too. Just take care of your stuff in the moment. It makes life so much more enjoyable, because you don't know if your buddy's going to knock on the door and be like, hey, we're having a party. You want to come over for, you want a glass of wine? And you're like, oh God, I've got this big, huge mess. I can't do that. Right. No, get crap done so you enjoy other things, Right. Go sit on the couch with your husband or go have a beer with your friend, whatever. Right. Whatever it is, just do not procrastinate. If you need more advice on that, throw it in the chat, email, text us, and we will do a little segment on it.
Yeah. And borrowing the slogan from Nike, do it now, don't procrastinate. So For all of you watching us today, great advice that Anne-Marie is sharing with all of us. And for those of us who feel like, yeah, I'm pretty organized, right on. I think what you just said is, do a little bit every day, be consistent. And sometimes that can be difficult, but you got to stick with it.
Absolutely. It's all doable. And if you think you're organized, I have clients who are uber organized.
Ooh,
they have OCD and they want it super, super organized. That is some of the most fun work I've ever done.
Wow. Hey, maybe just a thought. Maybe one day, one of our episodes, we can invite one of them to join us and they can share with our audience members, what that means to them, how has that affected their lives, et cetera, et cetera.
That would be fun.
Yeah. All right. So audience members, as we wrap up today, please reach out to Anne-Marie and or myself if you need to have any type of personal consultation. If you like to share your ideas that we'd be glad to use in the next video, we're open to hearing about that. And lastly, of course, please share your experience watching our episodes with your friends and family members. So as we wrap up, Anne-Marie, thank you for sharing your time with me today. And until we see each other in the next episode.